Morning, everybody. My clock says it's 8 o'clock. We'll just wait a few more moments and then we will crack on. But thank you for being prompt. Folks, this is called First Friday. It's a concept that we're trying today for the very first time, and it's an informal conversation on a particular topic. And with Tyre Safety Month now in full swing in the UK, we thought that this would be a very good topic to start with. So before we go any further, let me introduce a special guest for us today, Stuart Lovatt, who is chairman of TyreSafe and therefore spearheading Tyre Safety Month. And we'll talk to Stuart in just a minute. Well, let's start straight away, Stuart. Just by the way, everybody, I'm recording this, and so if you know people who might appreciate a look at this later, I'll pop it up onto the Edward website shortly after this meeting, and I'll share that link with you. You're all, by the way, there's no ground rules, but it's probably best that you stay muted with and you. I assume you can. We've got a chat function that's running. You can put your hand up. So we will try and keep an eye out for everybody who may want to ask questions and things. So bear with me because I'm not an expert at running the Teams thing technically, but so far so good. Stuart, tell us three interesting things about you to start with, so we just get to know you a little bit better. Oh, you're on mute. Sorry, Stuart.
Have you muted me? There we go.
I didn't mute you. Anyway, tell us three things about you.
We're off. Okay, so Stuart Lovatt, I'm the chairman of TyreSafe. I spent 34 years in the civil service, public service, here in the United Kingdom. My first foray into public service was as a customs officer based in central London, where I worked in the law enforcement directorate. So I spent best part of 15 years in customs, and then I moved to Highways Agency as it was then in 2002, and spent the rest of my career in road safety. So I've spent 24 years or so in road safety before I retired 3 years ago. And following my retirement, TyreSafe asked me would I be interested in taking on this role as chairman of TyreSafe and to help the charity grow.
Tell us a bit about TyreSafe then, and its role. Where does it fit, and how is it funded? What sort of things does it do, as well as in addition to the Tyre Safety Month that's in full swing at the moment?
Okay, so TyreSafe began in 2006, and it formed out of an association at that time of the tyre industry. But at that time, the trustees or the people who started TyreSafe thought that there was a need to step back, I think, a little bit from the tyre industry to raise awareness of the safety implications of driving with illegal and defective tyres. So I first became aware of TyreSafe back in 2006 as my time in National Highways, where I was the strategic policy lead for the strategic road network, as we call it here in England, running the high-speed and major arterial routes across England. I became aware of him when they won Prince Michael of Kent International Road Safety Awards. That was my first understanding, and ever since then, I have worked closely with TyreSafe because I understood the implications of illegal and unroadworthy tyres and the impact that could have not only on safety, but also on the smooth running of the network, the sheer scale of the incidents that were taking place, and how these unsafe vehicles could ultimately lead to not only network disruption, but also to ultimately collisions, damage-only collisions, damage to the network, and then, of course, leading right up to serious and fatal collisions. And so I've worked with them ever since. And so it was fortuitous and quite timely that when I retired 3 years ago, The previous chair, Stuart Jackson, decided also to retire, and the vacancy became available, and I took that role on. So it's something that I've always been interested in, understanding the impact between, if you like, the infrastructure, running and managing a strategic road network, and people who are driving on that network with unsafe vehicles.
And there's some quite scary numbers, aren't there? Have you got a few kind of facts and figures to hand as to what you're up against with tyre safety in just in the UK alone?
Okay. Well, but just before I do that, perhaps I should have finished off that by saying in 2016 we did become a registered road safety charity under the Charities Commission. So we are now a charity, which has enabled us as a charity to do an awful lot more work with both the public and private sector, and there are also a number of benefits of doing that. But yeah, I mean, when you look at the scale of the problem, and we can talk about these numbers in as we discussed today. But I think in road safety we always talk about the number of people who are being killed and seriously injured. And if anybody has the time or is interested, if they go on to TyreSafe.org and have a look in the top section there under our case for action, because what we're trying to, or what I'm trying to do in helping to lead TyreSafe as a road safety charity is to try to, if you like, challenge the traditional approach of road safety, where we tend to look here at things like speed or impairment or distraction, and say that vehicle defects is another key issue. Now, only last Thursday, we had the new government casualty statistics came out, and on average, and if you're working in road safety or you're doing anything, you should always look at a 3 to 5 year average so that you can take out any nuances of a 1 year change. And so if you look at, say, the last 5 years, and this has been pretty consistent, it's always been around 150 people have been killed or seriously injured, where the police have recorded a contributory factor within that collision around tyres, and it's up to one of 6 contributory factors. So very often they'll talk about the weather or the road or the speed. But the main thing about the Stats 19 is, as you will know from when you're doing your role as a special constable, James, is it is your perception at the time of what you believe, and you don't have time to do a detailed inspection of the vehicle usually, and so it is your perception. So unfortunately, 90% of Stats 19 is put down to driver-rider error or behavior, and so therefore there's always this emphasis, we need to change behavior. And what I'm trying to say is, if we look at the data, then vehicle defects have a far bigger impact than I think people understand. And so the figures that came out last Thursday from the government are actually showing that 172 people. So if we talk about the average is 150, the problem when you're looking at, say, last year compared to the rolling 5 years, it is significantly up to 172. But there again, there's other figures which we can refer to. We have 2 million people who regularly fail their MOT. And so, as most people probably are aware, that you pass or fail your MOT. But if you fail your MOT, you can still drive away that vehicle. But unfortunately, the garages that are registered by DFT's agency DVSA here, they're saying that 1.1 million, so over 50%, are deemed to be dangerous defects. And so despite the fact that the garage tells you that you have a significant issue, over 1 million people still drove away their vehicle and said, okay, thank you, I will probably do something about it. And there doesn't seem to be any consequence for them in doing that, other than perhaps they may subsequently be picked up by the police. But I think the fear of being detected is not great. And again, one of the other alarming figures, when you asked me to chuck out some facts and figures here just off the top of my head, according again to DFT, DVSA official data, 750,000 people took their cars in the following year with exactly the same tyres on that they'd got the advisory to say action needed to be taken, and still have the same tyres. And anecdotally, what we're hearing from these garages, from these drivers, is, well, it was only an advisory. You didn't tell me I had to do it. You just told me to keep my eye on my tyres. So when you've got 750,000 people turning up, despite the fact the garage had given them a warning, if you like, is it any wonder why we have so many collisions and so many casualty collisions? So this is why, if you like, that my role here at TyreSafe is to try to raise the dangers and risks of driving with unroadworthy vehicles, but particularly around tyres, is something that I think is a challenge to everyone within road safety, and certainly a challenge for government, that more attention needs to be focused on this issue, because it is potentially a life changer or a killer.
I'm going to ask Alida to open up your microphone and camera. And Alida Venter from South Africa. I first was in contact with her in 2017. She asked if they could run Project Edward in South Africa, and we said yes, of course. And we kind of went our separate ways. But you're doing brilliant stuff, Alida. Thank you. I'd like to connect you direct with Stuart. Just give us, because we're very well represented here with guests from South Africa, just give us a flavor of tire safety. You know, where is it on the in the scale of things in road safety in South Africa?
James, I think at this stage I actually saw actually a few of our members from the RTMC in the meeting. So if it's possible, and I can ask Tata Legodu, because I see he's there, whether he can answer that, because they are the custodians of the statistics in South Africa.
Yes, lightly.
Yeah, so I'm a very verbal activist. So, you know what will happen if I open up my mouth now? So let me ask Tata Legodu. Tata Legodu, would you please open your mic and come in and then just explain to the team the South African scenario around around tires and fatalities on our roads? It will be very appreciated.
Good morning, colleagues.
Hello.
Let me try to put my mic on, the camera on. Is it?
Thanks, Tata Legodu.
There you are. Hello. Hello.
Hello, the guys from England. Yes.
Tell us about you. Just give us a little introduction to the work that you do and your role in South Africa.
Okay. It's a long history. I started my career very long time ago as a student political activist, and in the 80s, and then ended up also trained as an agriculturalist. I am trained agriculturalist who was involved in banking, particularly business banking for the sector. And I worked for our local land bank, that's for agricultural purposes. And then I also worked for batteries. I did my stint in London, in Wharf, Canary Wharf in London. I also served in the African continent. I also did a stint with the Chase Manhattan Bank in New York City. I studied also MBA, the University of Potchefstroom. I also studied leadership programs with the New School University in New York. I became a political advisor to the Minister of Transport in 2016 after leaving the corporate world. And the bug of road safety bit me. That's why I'm working now in the road safety space. I'm not as lucky as Stuart. My runway is ending up next year. Year after next is my retirement period. So I'm happy to have it.
But you could join Drive More Safely, Tata Legodu, then you could carry on.
Yes, absolutely. That currently, what we are doing, like Alida alluded to, we are the custodians of the road safety data in South Africa. Let me say, not necessarily crash data. Crash data is one of the elements within the transportation system. So we do hold the data along that line, everything, including the crash, which my colleague Earl, I've seen Earl Naidu is here, is one of our managers that is responsible for crash investigations. And based on their reports, they always tell us on an annual basis that approximately 50% of the apologies, my phones are not on silent, they tell us that approximately 50% of the human contributory factors is tires in the crashes.
Mhm.
And in their investigations, they identify that they could see that the tire did not implode per se and cause the accident, but they could realize that the tire was defective even before the crash.
Yeah.
So that's what they are informing us, and that's what information that we are having about the crashes. But he is also on the platform. He can add, he's our expert on this aspect. And I just take data from him. And I think at the point in time, you'll be able to engage with Stuart on this type of analysis. But 50% of the vehicle factors is contributed by defective tires. And not because of implosion or deflation of the tires like that, but because the tires have been defective before the crash occurred. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, we would love to extend a strategic partnership with you in South Africa. We are already working with Sam Bamboza in Uganda, Stazu, and Lucas from Pamoja Road Safety in Kenya. So to take what we're trying to achieve here in the UK with TyreSafe and to work as in strategic partnership and share our resources and experience, we would love to do that. As for everybody on this call, you know, to join TyreSafe as a partner or supporter, it's absolutely free to join, and all our resources, all our data, our research, all our campaign material, everything is free. So you know, it would be marvelous if we could work more closely moving forwards with you and help to address the problem that you've just outlined.
And I've just put the TyreSafe website into the chat, so that should be a useful little link.
If I may just ask, do you mind hearing just a few statements from Earl, one of our really expert on crash investigations?
Yes, please.
Mr. Naidu, are you there?
Good morning, everyone. Yes, I'm here. Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you. Hello, Mr. Naidu. How are you?
I'm well, guys. Thank you very much, and thank you for extending the invite. Yeah, this is something that we have been actually looking at for a while now. One of our unit's experts is also here on. In our unit, we investigate crashes. Like we said, we are the only national unit in South Africa. Every other unit is bound by jurisdiction. So currently in South Africa, wherever we have what we call major crashes, our team would respond and assist the SAPS. We do full reconstruction reports. We do training. We are almost in everything currently that in our field. South Africa is on the verge of developing the first ever fully accredited curriculum in crash investigation on varying levels. So what we did, I'm law enforcement by profession. Most of our guys are ex-SAPS members. I'm ex-Metro Police, currently traffic officer. I've been in this field for about 25 years. And I think Terry's been in the field for maybe something like 50 years. And he's also retiring very soon. And he's our mechanical investigator. We have a specialist field within our unit, which is called mechanical investigation, where we have a specific person that will go out wherever we have a crash scene to specifically look at the vehicle and examine all components of the vehicle to look at what contributing factors they have. From tires to brakes to steering to looking at doing lamp analysis, doing all that. And he writes a separate report based on the findings from the mechanical investigation. We had a terrible crash over the weekend where a truck plowed into 3 vehicles and actually pinning in a minibus taxi were 12 people in between another truck and killing everyone on the spot. So
Killing everyone.
Yeah. So 12 people were killed in one crash. We did the investigation. Terry actually returned day before yesterday. Our report has already been submitted. It's going up to our CEO and then to the minister's office. And he actually took apart everything on the vehicle. One of our major focal areas is tires. And Ntate Legodu knows one of the things that we are actually talking about a lot is the tire part, as well as we have technical committees. And one of the focal areas that this technical committee had was to look at the illegal regrooving of tires. Because there is a major concern in South Africa, because we have roadside stalls where people can buy tires. People who do not have the financial resources to go to a reputable shop will go to the roadside and they'll buy tires that has been discarded because they were in no good use, but have been regrooved by these people. So we are actually trying to clamp down on that. We have had a few operations, especially in Mpumalanga, on that. It's some of the things that we are trying to do. It's a huge task.
So, Mr. Derek, can I ask you, so in this particular crash, were the tyres deemed to be either a causation of the crash or a contributory factor of that crash?
No, it wasn't. It's actually a foreign truck that came into the country.
Oh, okay.
Where I think on the Interlink truck, there was, I think 30, I'm speaking under correction now, I think 40% braking on the trailers alone. And this guy was going on a downhill slope of, I think, about 4 or 5 degrees and burnt out his brakes completely. And instead of going off to the side, he just continued and hit the vehicles until pinning the minibus between his truck and another Interlink, and actually sandwiching it in between. So the tires luckily were in a good condition. They had no causal link or any contributing factors towards the crash. Everything was on that side was 100%. Whenever we find any problems in terms of that, and then we look at the records of when these vehicles went for their roadworthy, because our heavy motor vehicles, our freight and public transport vehicles has to go, I think it's annually or every 6 months for roadworthy. We look at, and if we find any irregularities in terms of that, it gets referred to our anti-corruption unit that deals with these roadworthy testing centers, whether they are private, whether they are government. And we've had a lot of success in terms of dealing with these guys. So yeah, in a nutshell, that is what we do. We've also had a few. I've used Terry for quite a few webinars on tire safety as well, where he actually presented for during our Women's Month for women drivers, to tell them, listen, looking at your tires, this is how you identify when a tire is bad, explaining to them what everything on a tire means, looking at the expiry date of a tire, etc., etc. Yeah, in a nutshell.
Thank you, Mr. Naidu. I tell you what, Stuart, Sam from UK.
Sam has just joined us. Yes.
So let's just bring Sam in. Hello, Sam. Can you hear us? Are you there?
Good morning, Stuart. Good morning. Yes, team. I don't know whether you can hear me very well.
We can hear you perfectly. It would be lovely to see you as well.
If you can.
If you can turn your camera, oh, there we go. Just tell us, Sam, now, what's the relationship with TyreSafe for you in Uganda, and how did that happen?
Thank you very much. I'm happy to join the team and share with the experience now we have gained in promoting tire safety in partnership with Tire Safety UK. Since we received the partnership from Tire Safety, what we have started with is to conduct a survey so that we can have our own evidence and data to support our advocacy. We developed the questionnaires, both the general questionnaires for the tire consumers, and then also we've developed one for the dealers. So far, we have interviewed more than 500 motorists, especially the 14-seater, and then also about 200 motorcycle riders in the country, because they're also consumers of the tires and they're also at the risk. We are also going to interview the bus operators. We have interviewed one bus operator, and we found out that it is only the workshop managers that are knowledgeable about the tires, since the same with the top leadership, because they are the one in charge of procurement. So the rest of the staff don't make a decision in terms of the tires. And we also found out that the expired tires are the one that, especially when the old one, are the one that are used as spare parts, as spare tires, which is very risky in case you are using an old spare in front tire. So we have identified that, we have observed that. And then also now our next is to interview the dealers. And then the dealers, we have convinced them that we have found out that most of people recycle tires and don't buy tires because they think tires are very expensive, not knowing that they put them at the risk. Also, we have also observed that the police doesn't have experience in investigating tires. They mixed up the data for tires under the under vehicle dangerous mechanical condition. So they compile the two, that because the vehicle has worn out tires, maybe doesn't have lights, then they combine the two, which we need to guide them that when you are investigating, you need to separate tires from other parts of the vehicle. And we also received good support from Uganda National Bureau of Standards because they are very happy that we are going to help them in creating awareness about the tire standards in the country. We already have a standard for East Africa, which is the one we use, and then we also use the E4, which is for European Union, and then also the DOT, which is the one of Department of Transport America. So those are the three standards we are using as a country. But however, because of lack of awareness and even the police is not trained, there is nothing that is being done in terms of investigation of tires. So we also observed the fixing of tires. You find a tire with a wire is fixed with one without tires. Without wires, and then you find someone has fixed an old tire with a new one. So basically, then we also got. I'm very impressed that when we shared our questionnaire with the National Water and Sewage Corporation, they found out that they were making losses in terms of procuring substandard tires. So they have contracted us to develop for them a tire procurement guide for the company. So I say that this is a gray area that as once we roll out this report, which we shall share with the team for your input and guidance, we hope we shall be able to penetrate the market, the tire market, and create awareness, and people will be able to buy genuine and standard tires in the country. Thank you.
Oh, Sam, thank you very much indeed. Sam Bambanza from Uganda. Stay there. Now, just a reminder, so this is our first Friday, the inaugural first Friday from Project Edward. My name's James Luckhurst, and I'm really pleased to have Stuart Lovatt from TyreSafe, and all of you very welcome. Do make good use of the time. We have the chat function. Pop questions into the chat or raise your hand. I'll try and keep my eyes on what's going on. I just don't want to waste any opportunities. Stuart, you may want to share our little secret with our guests, that you sometimes get text messages from me, don't you? Usually at the weekend or in the evening, saying, "Oh, guess what, Stuart?" Because I have a role in a voluntary capacity as a police officer in Wales, where I live, and I try to be hot on the tires, don't I, Stuart?
You certainly do, and it's always interesting that. For me, it's not only interesting that you're picking these up and the scale of the problems that you're finding, but it's usually the reaction of the person who you are speaking to, who seem to be quite indignant about the fact that you're pointing out to them that you have got a dangerous or an illegal tire. So even to the point where I think some people get so animated that they talk themselves into getting a fine or being arrested. So perhaps rather than sharing the shock that you found, it might be a lot easier if they were a little bit more contrite and apologise rather than getting aggressive at the side of the road. But there you go. But just picking up on what Sam and Mr. Nadu were saying there, one of the pieces of research that we've done here at TyreSafe, and say all this is available, so please do join TyreSafe. Say it's free to join as a road safety organisation, and it's a very easy process. But if there's any issues, then come through either James or myself directly. And go on to TyreSafe, where you can fill the registration form in. But one of the things that we've done here is working with National Highways, who own the Fatal database, where the police send all the forensic files to the Transport Research Laboratory here in the UK. And one of the shocking things that the police forensic examiners have found is that where tyres were deemed to be involved in the collision initially, 75% of those the police deemed, the forensic examiners, so not just the police officer at the side, but the forensic examiners, believe that the primary collision could have been avoided with simple care and maintenance. And so for the first time, what we've been able to do here, which is why I asked that question, Mr. Nader, is we've actually been able to look just beyond what contributed to the collision, and we can now identify that illegal or dangerous tyres are a causation factor in an awful lot of fatal and more serious multiple casualty collisions. So it's a shocking thing, which we are continuing to raise awareness of, is that it absolutely does increase the risk of being able to stop in time. So on the strategic road network here in England, the National Highways report that 53,000 incidents are reported on the motorway network alone. Obviously, most of those do not lead to casualty collisions, but do lead to significant disruption as well as significant inconvenience. So we do know that tyres are a major cause of incidents across the UK.
Stuart, let's talk about Tyre Safety Month. We're in it now. Today is the 3rd day of October, so the 3rd day of Tyre Safety Month 2025. When did the planning for this initiative begin, and how do you decide what the objectives are, what the theme is going to be, how you can make each year different?
Well, we've been running it'll be our 20th anniversary next year, so it's difficult to keep trying to come up with unusual or different angles of a campaign when you've been doing the same subject for 20 years. But we seem to be still being able to do that. So this year we've got the theme Under Pressure. In TyreSafe, we have in all our campaigns we base them around the acronym we want people to act on their tires. So we talk about air condition and tread. So air and pressure, and condition and tread. We use that acronym to give people a simple, memorable tool to translate awareness into action. There's not much point in doing a campaign if there isn't a call to action. So that call to action is for people to act on their tires. Now, this year, with previous years, we picked tread, we picked condition. This year, we're particularly focusing on pressure because I should imagine, like all the listeners on this call, we're in the middle of a cost of living crisis. Everything's going up. October is always traditionally our tyre safety month because it is traditionally the wettest month of the year in the United Kingdom. But also, as we approach winter, the nights start getting darker. We're now already at the stage where it's darker longer than it's light in the UK. And so what we're saying is, as you prepare for the driving in these winter nights, winter days, don't let your tyres be one of the pressures that you're facing. And we've done some research. 86% of people that we surveyed said that they're feeling pressure at the moment due to everything, having to turn your heating on, the food bills are going up, everything, and suddenly being hit with an unexpected bill because of an issue, that would just add more pressure. So what people have told us, 61% of people in that research said that by knowing that your tyres are in a good condition would help to relieve some of that worry from driving. So this year our campaign was Under Pressure, and don't let your tyres be one of those pressures that you're facing. And it's particularly pertinent for business drivers with all the pressures on business driving today for the business itself or the individual drivers. What we're reminding people to do is to act on their tyres, as we say. Do your basic checks. Look at the air, the condition of the tread before you set off. If you're a business driver on every journey, do your walk around checks so that you're not going to suddenly get caught out or maybe hit with an unexpected bill. So on Tuesday this week, I was in the radio studio. We did 13 radio interviews, which was syndicated out to 180 radio stations. So with the opportunity for maybe 70 million listeners that they have registered to hear that tyre safety message. So we continue to have a lot of interest in the messages that we're putting out there, and hopefully that will start to see some work through, that people will check the tyres ahead of winter. I'm reminding people to check the tyres at least every month.
What about partners then? Who would work
Partners.
with for road safety? Who's involved as a partner to TyreSafe for Tyre Safety Month?
Well, we work with a host of partners, and say thanks to Sam and Lucas in Uganda and Kenya, and we hope that the rest of you will come on board and join us. We are now, as of yesterday, working with over 225 organisations, and that includes from government through to road safety partners, individual garages, retailers, the tyre associations. So we try and strike a balance between the industry, the retailers who actually have the job of engaging with customers, right through to road safety partners such as the police, National Police Chiefs Council, National Fire Chiefs Council, the Royal Society for Prevention of Accidents, BRAKE, a whole host of partners to help us to get our message across, our case for action. Now, TyreSafe as a charity, we do not lobby government. We are not asking for any changes to the law. We think the laws can be already quite draconian in this country if people don't comply. As you know, James, when you issue people with fixed penalty notices or take them to court, the penalties can be quite severe. In this country, it is a maximum of £2,500 and 3 penalty points per tyre. So it's quite severe, but also the police can take you to court for more serious offences if your tyres were deemed to be illegal or led to a fatal collision or something. So the penalties are quite severe. So we don't lobby government, but we're working with all these organisations to call for a change, if you like, a change in the thinking. The whole point, we only campaign in TyreSafe, and what we're asking for is for this whole issue to be taken more seriously. So we have set out a vision for the charity, and that vision is that nobody should be injured. So a vision zero, as we're all doing, we're all working towards that safe system approach. We're all working towards a vision zero in support of the UN global declaration there. And we believe that there should be zero harm due to people driving on illegal or unroadable tires. And our mission is to empower people with that knowledge to actually reduce that risk. So, we've set ourselves some quite stretching goals. And, one of the things we want is a national campaign from government to raise awareness of this issue. We want the police to add tyre safety and tyre defects as a fatal fifth, as opposed to the traditional fatal four we mentioned earlier in the call. So we've got some quite stretching goals, but we think if the government were to include this issue in the new road safety strategy, we haven't had a road safety strategy in this country for the last 15 years. I think it's well overdue, and maybe have some performance indicators that could measure the penetration of this in a new road safety strategy. It will go a long way to raising awareness and bringing about the societal change that we as a charity are trying to articulate and advocate for in this country.
So let's just take your relationship with Sam in Uganda as an example. What do you expect from Sam from that partnership, and what can you give him? So how does it work both ways, kind of thing?
Oh, as Sam knows, we don't expect anything from Sam, and hopefully Sam doesn't expect anything from us. What the whole point is, it's about sharing knowledge, it's about sharing material. So we've been campaigning for a long time. We have a host of back issues. We create evergreen resources, and what we're offering to our strategic partners is a consistent message that is well understood, it's clear, and to use those resources to engage with your communities. I mean, the whole point about a good partnership is there's mutual benefits, and those mutual benefits is sharing knowledge, sharing resources, and really that's what it's about. By working more closely with this host of people, what I particularly I think is the strength of TyreSafe, working with these 225 organizations as of today, there is one consistent message coming out. Everybody's using this. So rather than saying a local authority road safety team or your police force in Wales there, James, we want you to do something about this. Now go away and have a think about it. The campaign is already there, the data, the research. And so that's where we're becoming a credible, trusted source. People know that they can work with us, use our campaign material, because it's usually been signed off. So we have campaigns now around pushbacks aimed at children. So we work with the Bikeability Trust, right up through agricultural vehicles, cars, vans, tractors, agricultural vehicles. But we work with the relevant organizations, the relevant partner organizations, to ensure that when we create these campaigns, the tone, the message, the imagery is correct, so that people can now just use those resources to engage, use their limited resources to engage with their local community, with their businesses, with their citizens, to get that one consistent message out. So whether you're from Jersey, in the Channel Islands, right up to Scotland, it's the same tyre safety messages. We're asking people to act on their tyre safety.
Thank you, Stuart. Sam in Uganda has his hand up. Sam, please.
Thank you very much. I think what we need technical support, especially the safe tires, to ensure that they bring on board the tire manufacturers, because what we have observed here is that some fictitious companies just get stamp and put a stamp. You find that maybe someone has made a retread tire and put a stamp for Michelin. So you find that now Michelin is not doing business in the country because of those dubious deals. We are also at stake, especially in these low medium countries, where we have tire mafias that would see us as a threat in terms of promoting tire safety. So we are trying to bring also on other media and other agencies so that we don't put our life at risk. So we need a real support from and technical support from those who are experienced and manufacturers to come on board to ensure that they are not represented by fictitious companies which supply substandard tires on their behalf. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Stuart, any response to that?
Well, I mean, obviously, we're a road safety charity. We do work with the associations, but where somebody's doing something illegal like that, I presume it is illegal in Uganda. That is a matter for the enforcement bodies. There's not. I mean, you shouldn't be doing that. We're raising awareness about the issues of, say, Part 1 tires here, where we're finding huge levels of non-compliance with the law. But I say we don't articulate, we don't lobby for changes to the law. We think it will be a huge leap forward if people just complied with the law and sold safe and legal tires in this country. But we know that's not happening. So there's a question here about doing some tips. Do you want to try and cover that bit, James?
Well, yeah, shall we just sort of wrap up now? I was going to just get you to look ahead into the future, and then finish with some tips. I mean, there are things like digital media, new technology. Is that going to help promote tire safety in the future? It's all going to still be individual responsibility. We're not going to. Our tires won't look after themselves anytime soon, will they?
No, they don't. Looking forward, I think it's quite an exciting time. I mean, AI even is helping us. Where traditionally we would create a general resource. As I mentioned, we're creating specific targeted resources now, using every available channel, particularly social media. But what we're doing now more so, and I say we're doing campaigns now, right from pushbacks, children, right through to learner drivers, to new drivers, to business drivers, older drivers, people who are towing caravans or towing trailers for work. We have a whole suite of resources, which again, have a look on TyreSafe.org. Look at our free road safety resources that you can use. And if you join us as a TyreSafe partner, supporter, then you can even dual brand those resources with your organizations. But whether you're looking at young drivers and students, there are very good messages. So we try to think what's the best way to engage with that particular audience. For young people, it's probably better to use social media, to use new technology as opposed to the old campaigns. Perhaps we would do leaflets or printed material, or direct engagement, and talk to them about the potential consequences of, if you get caught within your first 2 years, then and you get 6 points, the courts have the power to take your driving license off you again until you've done an extended driving lesson, a driving examination. So whether you're talking to fleet managers and business, then we need to be talking about things: reputational cost, duty of care, the legal requirements, not just under the Road Traffic Act, but also under health and safety at work legislation. So again, you're targeting different message. If you're an older or a lower mileage driver, then you need to be talking about things like the age of the tire and the fact that rubber does perish. So therefore it affects things like stopping distances. But the general public, what we're talking about here is just do your checks at least once a month. And it's important that you do these because it will have benefits. It will reduce your risk. It will reduce your operating costs. We can even talk about, as we do, some of the green messages about reducing the cost of fuel. It will improve your fuel efficiency by operating with the right pressures in your vehicle. So we believe £1 billion a year is wasted in the UK alone just by engines having to work harder because of underinflation, but also the needless replacement of tires because of uneven wear. So we try to think of who is our target audience for a specific campaign. So it could be, we've just done one aimed at farmers, with the farming community here, aimed at things like the root crop. Being able to bring your crop in on time, but not have your trailers and your tractors stranded. So we target very specifically campaigns aimed at the audience, and then think of what's the best way of doing that. Social media, I think, has enabled us as a charity to grow and engage. But the more partners we bring on and work with our partners for them to get those messages out to their target audience, and so like with the Camping and Caravan Club, or where it's the motorbike communities, to get those messages out again, so that the message is not necessarily coming from us, it's coming from the trusted source at the organisation that they're signed up to be a member of.
Thank you very much. We've still got people wanting to join, but I think we're sort of going to wrap up now. Alida asked for you for some tips, but I imagine we're just the top tip is act.
The top tip is to go and act, and have a look at TyreSafe.org. You'll see our campaigns, you'll see our data, our researches. So the top tip for today is please go and have a look at TyreSafe.org, where you will see this host of instructional videos, instructional infographics, and some of the research which shows what it is that we're doing. It'll talk about our mission and our strategy, our goals. Everything is on there. So go and have a look at that, and then let us know if you're interested in working more closely with us.
Oh, Stuart Lovatt from TyreSafe, I'm really grateful, and everybody else is here as well. Hey, folks, look, I think it's probably time to wrap up. Quick, if there's any more hands going up, give you a moment to put your hand up. Right, well, that's where we will bring this to a close. Let me just thank Stuart Lovatt from TyreSafe for your time this Friday morning, and to being our guest on the inaugural first Friday from Project Edward. And I think, with 44 people here, I'm thrilled that we've had a really good conversation and exchange. Please, let's make this regular. You will see in the chat right now that our next First Friday will be taking place on Friday, the 7th of November, same time, 8 o'clock in the morning, UK time. The topic will be commercial driver well-being. The sign-up link is right there now. So rather than it being a Teams meeting, I've set that up as a webinar, so you can register right now, and then you'll get all the kind of invitations and reminders that's coming. So please join us for that. And I'll tell you what, to sweeten the deal, I will provide a virtual full English breakfast. I'll get a nice picture of all the nicest steaming hot things that, although if it's maybe we should be looking for healthy stuff, so probably just porridge.
Thank you, James, for allowing TyreSafe to kick this off and be your first inaugural start. So well done, and thanks for everything, and thanks for organising this.
Brilliant. Thank you, everybody. Have a good Friday and a good weekend. We'll see you again next month. All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you from us in South Africa. Keep partners.
Bye.